But at the line, it was the De Bruins who brought it home in 7 hours and 57 minutes. The father and son were ecstatic, even though the Toyota probably wasn't. And after almost 500 kilometers of grueling battle, the men and their machines who made it into the top 10 in the production car stable, with the Nissans fighting 3 of their cars into the top 5, while Ford snuck in 3 into the top 10. In the special vehicle battle, it was even tighter, and the father and son war at the top was going to ensure a special Father's Day present for one happy family at the end of 1,000 kilometers worth of racing.
Vehicle and asset finance from the beaten track to find solutions.
Day 3 of the Toyota Kalahari Botswana 1000 Desert Race, and with another 480 kilometers of racing left to go, there was a lot of tension in the air. Prologue and first day leaders, the De Bruins, were rearing and ready to go.
Tough day, but luckily we've got the dust on our side, and I see the wind's not blowing, so everything is working according to our plan. I still can't believe we're still in front. It's a big achievement for us. Yesterday we had some problems with the gearbox. We've lost second gear. Luckily, Wami gave us a new gearbox last night, and we put it in, and the bucket feels good. I mean, we are out there. We can try to do our best to hold this position.
Surprise special vehicle leader Kali Solwad knew that they would feel the pressure of the rest of the pack bearing down on them.
Definitely a big day for us. A lot of the bigger crews are behind us. First time that we more in front than usual, but looking forward to it. We're used to going into the dust, so at least we've got a 2-minute gap, and that will help us, obviously. But we'll see. It's a long day. The route has been new. It's been for everyone. It's the same battlefield, and that is in our favour. So very tight out there. We'll see. The four-wheel drives are definitely an advantage. So we're not even thinking of looking at the buggies. We're trying to get home because we are still new in the game, actually. So we just try to get home.
For the defending national champion Alfie Cox, this race represented a mark he was still looking for. He'd won here before, but his chances had been lost.
Yeah, look, I mean, there was many factors against the car. You know, it's made out of special material, and you know, Evan and them were just scared of welding an upper arm in a backyard here somewhere at a place. And sure, I understand if the arm breaks at 180, it's dangerous, and also the car can get damaged. So for me, it's not easy because, you know, you make a plan and get the car going again. You know, we need the points. I mean, anything can happen. You saw yesterday from hero to zero, and you know, you can be leading this race and then fall out of it. So today we needed the points with the championship. You know, maybe one day this race might win us the championship. Yeah, last year we missed 2 races and we still won the championship, but there's just too many guys out there that are good this year.
And Alfie knows what he's talking about. After all, he's the owner of 23 national titles. But the racing would be tough and hard, and 1 point inevitably does make a difference. The De Bruins had never won a major race such as this on the off-road calendar before, therefore they were in uncharted waters. The Mykarin XL dealer Team Toyota screamed away from the line with the weight of their own expectations and the pressure of the reigning champion Hannes Grobler on them. As for Grobler and his longtime navigator, the mustachioed Francois Jordan, they were ready to do the business. Glyn Hall, the Nissan team manager, and his squad always ensures that the cars are in great nick. Cronje and Birken were next off, 90 seconds behind the Castrol Toyota, ready to rock and roll again. So were Foss and Leek in the second Nissan Navara. And Mark Corbett and Rudy Balzar's Century Property Development Nissan made it 3 versus 2 in the Japanese manufacturer's battle up front. For Harkes and Moore in the Ford Ranger in 6th place, steady driving was essential. Brandon has a rich racing heritage, and it was only his 4th time out in the production car, but he was clearly relishing the experience. The Sulwalds were through next, and despite an electrical niggle, they were very impressive on a route which never really allowed the specials to let it all hang out. The Castrol Toyota of Chris Visser and Jaapie Badenhorst passed by next, and they were clearly going very well on their way in the Botswana bush. The Harpers, father Nick and son Ryan, were through next after making a strong start in the early morning, but already the dust was a factor, especially so for the special vehicles. Matthews and Smith were also starting with intent and were impressive in the Century Property Development's bat. As for former SA champion Evan Hutchinson and his co-Achim Bergman, well, they only know one way. Fast. Very fast. On day one, Hutchinson lost more than 5 minutes, but here on day 3, he was probably taking back triple that. For Berthold and Houghton, well, the big man is fearless behind the wheel. Don't believe us? Here's the proof. Bevan Berthold and Robin Houghton rode most of their Castrol Toyota's bodywork right off it the day before, but Toyota Motorsport manager Wami Haddad's lads did a great job, and she looked good as new. Buriaba and Rousseau in their Total Motorsport Porter was the second special, and only the second in the top 10, proving that the dust and the route was much tougher for the men without windscreens. The absolute bat of Clint Gibson and Mike Brown impressed when it made its way past. They were up from 23 overall and going well. While the Rapsabat of Norris Alberts and Colin Hunter battled several punches the day before, which cost them loads of time, they were desperate to make it up. But none of this worried the De Bruins. They were quietly but rather quickly going about their business. After all, by now they had led this race for almost 700 kilometers, and it looked likely that they could do it for another 300. While their Toyota stablemate Cronje, an established track star and rally driver too, was making his way past the Nissans, most notably Grobler. And it was clear that the man had had trouble. His teammate Force had passed him too, and the Nissan Navara was sounding good. With another Nissan, Corbett and Moore's Navara also closing the gap to the front, things were getting interesting. Harkis and Moore next roared into view, and the Ford Ranger was certainly responding well to the coaxings of the big man. The Sulwalds were still holding station amongst the front runners in the production cars, while leading the specials by a good 60 seconds. Twice winners last season, the Harpers were slowly edging their way closer and had made their way past one or two of the production cars. Nick is a cagey old fox at the best of times, while Visser and Badenhorst are also two wily campaigners who know their way around the African bush. It showed. Hutchison and Bergman in the Motorite Spec 3 bat were seemingly over the problems from the day before and were pushing hard. While Berthold and Houghton had also been very consistent early on, taking a slightly more cautious approach. But they had Buriaba all over their rearview mirrors and couldn't relax for a second. With the Gibson-Brown combination feeling the pinch of the route, saying it was designed for the buckies. Herman Sulwald and Paul Hellberg had an 8th in the prologue and were building on that with a strong early showing on Sunday after 100-odd kilometers of racing. With Gary Berthold and Henry Kirstein in the second Atlas Copco bat also closing in on the men ahead of them too, it was getting tight. Marsh and Groenewald were also growing in confidence, and the Regent Racing Bat was starting to sing to their tune. The defending Super Production Car champions Woolwich and Shorthammer were also going well after sorting out earlier troubles and were trying to make their way up the order after starting off 18th overall. With amateur photographers everywhere, the whites in the Rubicon Bat were working hard in the 27th edition of the Desert Race and up into the top 10 in the specials. But they had Whitehouse and Langton to contend with, and these two Regent Racing racers had closed the gap considerably too. While their teammates, the Kryes, would not let them relax for a second. Jan and Hendrik looking for win number 4 in a row in 2007. Norwegian adventurer Ivar Tollefsen and his nav, Englishman Quinn Evans, had got the Nissan boys to repair all those loose bits, and they were also going superbly. But Van Tonner and Guelpo were distributing those loose bits this time, the Ford Ranger looking worse for wear early on. Wonder what the bush looks like. With Musaji and Bordagna also pushing as hard as they possibly could, but maintaining a certain level of holding back. The spectators got their money's worth in the drag race for the shadow of the bridge between Schroeder and the Barkhesens, and the SP predictably got there first. In the race for Class B honours, Bes Besaidnout and Johan de Bruin in the Adenco Bat were a few minutes down on the Kryes, but had not given up hope. And in the Rubicon Bat, Lo de Bruin and Rudy Brits were up into a very challenging position. And in Class D, Malcolm Koch and Wayne Brink in the Castrol Toyota were setting the pace very nicely. Alberts and Hunter are well known as strong finishers, and here in Botswana they're up to their old tricks again. But the African bush, heat and dust, would still be taking its toll. And by the middle of the day, the dust was getting worse. In Class E, Peckham and Santoro were second, going along with a great drive, followed by Castrol Toyota's Brian Martin and Oki Fourie, who seemed to be burying last year's ghosts in the Botswana sand. Ramon Besaidnout and Stefan Locke were through next, and they had made a significant move, up from 31st overall and going well in class. With Yanni Visser and Joks Leroux in the next Castrol Toyota also looking destined for a good finish and a top 5 finish if they could keep things together. Someone who knows a lot about that is Ryobi's Henry Zermatten. He holds the world record for consecutive off-road finishes, and his conservative first-day drive was starting to pay off. With the RFS Nissan of the deploys up into the top 20 production cars for the first time, and in the top 5 in Class D. In Class S, Schilling was having it all his own way as he was the only car still on the road in class. The desert race continues.
Going the extra mile to get you financed.